Jump into Group C before we kind of get sidetracked. Spain and Italy, like obviously what people point to. Croatia's a good team. And Ireland, I mean, I don't seem like they're a pushover either. I don't know anything about them. I will be honest, because I know that. Well, I really don't know anything other than I can't understand what they're saying when they talk to me. But that's a good group. I mean, and there is room for upset, is there not?
Definitely. I actually have Ireland progressing in this group. Ireland has not lost to Italy in the past 3 games that they've played. They have an Italian coach, Giovanni Trapattoni. He's got them really well organized. They have kept 11 clean sheets in the past 14 games. So they're really solid at the back. And they play very defensive. So the biggest game, I think, is at the beginning, is Ireland and Croatia. Whoever wins that, I think, has a huge chance, because I have Spain and Italy tying. So if whoever wins that's going to be top of the group, and confidence is going to be high. But a lot of people are saying Croatia could be a dark horse, but I don't know. I don't think they're solid enough at the back. I think they just lost Ivica Olic to injury, so he's going to be out of the tournament. But the boy Jelavic, who plays club football for Everton, he's had a really good end of the season. But I think Spain and Ireland are going to come out on top in this group. Spain is going to be a little fatigued. They haven't had summer off for a while, and a lot of their players, they look tired mentally and physically. But I also just don't see Italy scoring goals.
Yeah.
Balotelli is their only hope, really. Like, obviously they're going to keep a lot of clean sheets, but they're playing a little more attacking these days as they did in the past. And Cassano had that heart condition. I don't know if he's going to be fit for the tournament. So the key is, like, goals are going to be very important for this group to see who progresses.
I was going to say that trying to rely on Balotelli for goals is kind of like trying to rely on Dustin Brown for goals, but that's actually worked out okay for the Kings. Now, I think Italy. I mean, if Italy lost to New Zealand, they can certainly lose to Ireland or Croatia. As far as the Spanish, dictator Franco had a good few years. Someone even called him a mini dynasty. But then when he fell hard. Are we going to actually witness like the end of Spain's rule over the soccer world here internationally, or? I don't know. I mean, they'll probably make it through that group, obviously, but
some people don't have them getting to the group, but I do. I think their class will come out. They're missing David Villa, and he was the key to. He got their goals. He finished off their movements. Like,
yeah.
They obviously have a lot of possession, but it's what you do with that possession. You have to penetrate. You have to really get into those holes. And David Villa is just a great finisher, and they're going to really miss him. And they also don't have Carlos Puyol at the back, and that's a big loss for them, because he's their rock. And that means that Sergio Ramos is probably Europe's best right back. He's got to go to center half. So I have them losing to Germany in the final. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself right now.
Yeah.
But they have a great young crop of players coming up. Like Juan Mata plays for Chelsea, Cesc Fabregas. Like, these players are not even going to get on the field. So it might be a big tournament for Fernando Torres, though, because there's no David Villa up front. So he's going to be vying with Fernando Llorente for who's going to play up top for Spain. So if they can get a couple of goals, they'll be okay.
Yeah, Spain's roster, to me, their lineup kind of looks like a shark's teeth. When you knock out the first one, there's one waiting to take its place. I mean, think about their win in overtime in the World Cup, right? Fabregas and Torres, the ones that get the assist on Iniesta's goal, they were subs. They came in overtime. I mean, and Torres was the guy, he was a sub who won the 08 Euros for them. And I know that he's been a little bit off with Chelsea, but it's not like he can't produce. I mean, it's not like having him as your backup plan or whatever, or Fabregas is a negative, so.
Not at all. And he had a decent run of form at the end of that Chelsea campaign. He's going to be on a high just winning the Champions League.
For sure. It seems like World Cup, Euro, I don't know, Champions League, whatever, it always seems like there's an enemy. England, for some reason, I don't get it, I'm with you, but people always seem to like to see them lose. Portugal has kind of become a bit of an enemy. I know that they have a louder community in Toronto than they do where I'm from. That might be part of it. France is France, Italy is Italy. Those are pretty easy enemies to kind of go for. Russia is a fan favorite until people remember the Cold War. The Germans, surprisingly, are a little bit squeaky clean right now. Spain, I think people wouldn't mind seeing them lose only because they win too much now. Is there an enemy this year that you see going in fan-wise?
I think it's definitely got to be France. The antics that they pulled at the last World Cup was pretty disgraceful. And
the handball. Still.
Right?
And the handball still. I don't care.
They revolted against their coach, and there's no respect. There's so many kids in France that would love to play for the national team, and they just take it for granted. And that handball that Henry did against Ireland, a lot of people will never forget that moment. That's like the Maradona moment against England in the 1986 World Cup.
Yeah, and somehow England people seem to not always be on their side. I don't know what it is, but you think back historically, they don't do a lot wrong. I mean, even that disallowed goal, I know that they weren't playing great in the World Cup, but there is a huge difference between being tied 2-2 against Germany and being down 2-1, especially with the push that they made. If they had tied that game down 2-0 to come back and tie it, that could have changed the entire thing. So, group, what do we have left? Group A, the easy group. Home side Poland, my heritage, I guess. Really, really awesome history there. Just a fortuitous people. But they're up against Greece, the 04 champions, Russia, the 08 surprisers, and the Czechs, who are just the Czechs. What do you see there?
A lot of people are saying this is the easiest group, but for these teams, being in this group, obviously it's easier, but it's going to be harder for them in a way because there's going to be so much pressure on the teams to progress because they're going to say to themselves, okay, we're in an easier group, we have a really good chance of progressing, but sometimes if you get, for instance, Ireland, if you get in a group with Italy and Spain, you get up for those games. As a player, it's nothing better than playing against the best opposition. So, and this group is so tight that each goal might determine the outcome. I really would like to see the Czech Republic come out because of Petr Cech's heroics for Chelsea. But, I think they might go unbeaten, they might get 3 draws, but that might not be enough for them. So Poland, they have a lot of good young players from Borussia Dortmund who just won the German Bundesliga. Robert Lewandowski, he could have a big tournament. Greece, not many people are giving them a chance, but they have a couple young players coming through now. I don't see them progressing, but they have a chance. And Czech Republic, they're in a transition year. So, and the Russians, they have a lot of good players like Andrei Arshavin, Alan Jigolev, who plays for, he's playing attacking mid. So, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, and what you're saying about the group, so I know that this doesn't jump out at people or it seems to be easier, but when you think about it, how this tournament is set up, how the groups go, this is relatively even, right? I know that Poland's not great, but they're still in the conversation. When you compare Group A and Group B, which is obviously the best group team-wise, I mean, you think about this, at least both groups are even. The competition is relatively close. Each team from 1 to 4 is going to be very, very tight. And what you're saying about the Czechs, they may draw 3 games, and that might not be enough for them. So there's really no advantage to being in Group B or in being in Group A. I mean, they're both even groups, which is really all that counts here.
If you think about it, Denmark, a lot of people are not fancying their chances, but they could get a couple shock results.
If they win one,
to progress. There's no pressure when they play Germany. There's no pressure when they play Holland or Portugal. But teams like Poland, they're going to be playing at home. They're expected to beat Greece. They're expected to beat Russia. They're expected to beat the Czech Republic. So I don't know how they're going to be able to handle that. And they have a lot of young players, so it's going to be interesting to see how they respond to that. If they go a goal down earlier on, see how they respond to the criticism and the fans sort of, I guess, getting on their backs.
Well, and honestly, I think a lot of times, I mean, I know that Portugal almost won it in 04. I think that the pressure ultimately killed them, though, in that final game. But, I think a lot of times you see when home squads, when they're not the best team, like Poland, I think that South Korea kind of cheated their way to the O2, in the O2 World Cup, but either way, I think that you often see, with South Africa, it was great that they had a couple decent games, but ultimately it was another, underdog from their neck of the woods, Ghana, which I know is not in South Africa, but, relatively the same situation, that they kind of, it seems like somebody else always surprises in the shadow of the home squad.
For sure, yeah. Like, it's kind of unfortunate for Russia to be drawn in the group with Poland, because that means they have to play in Poland. Like, if they were drawn in, if their games were in Ukraine, I think that would have a big advantage for them.
Fascinating historically, too. Like, Russia, Poland, the Czech Republic. I don't know if you could come up with a better political rivalry ever in history, but...
Yeah, and Greece is bringing down the European Union there, too.
Yeah, so they well, at least they're not going to be with Germany, right? So that's okay.
Exactly. The tournament's very important for them because there's not really much going on good in Greece. So if they can get there's going to be a lot of pressure from the whole nation there.
Would you rather live in Athens or Detroit?